They called me the Black Swallow of Death, but I was just Eugene Jacques Bullard, a boy born in Columbus, Georgia in 1895. I came into this world as the seventh of 10 children in a family rooted in resilience. My father, William, had been born on land owned by a slaveholder, but he carried himself with dignity, refusing to let the legacy of chains define him. I grew up listening to his stories about France, a land where black men were treated as equals. Those stories gave me hope in a world where I saw my father nearly lynched by a white mob over a workplace dispute. The South was no place for a black boy with dreams bigger than picking cotton or surviving day to day. So, when I turned 11, I ran away. My first stop was Atlanta, where I joined a group of British gypsies, the Stanleys. They gave me a job tending horses and even taught me to race them. They also told me that Britain, like France, didn't shackle men with the chains of race. That only strengthened my resolve. When the Stanleys stayed put, I kept moving. I worked as a stable boy for a family in Dawson, Georgia, earning a place as their jockey in the county fair races. But my dreams weren't meant to stop there. In 1912, at just 17, I stowed away on a German freighter bound for Europe. It was risky. Everything I'd ever known was on the other side of the ocean. But I was determined to reach a place where a black man's worth wasn't measured by the color of his skin. I landed in Aberdeen, Scotland, and made my way to Glasgow, then London. Life was hard, but I learned to fight, literally. Boxing became my trade. I trained under Dixie Kid, a famous American boxer, and fought matches that took me to Paris. It was there that I found my true home. Paris, with its music, art, and freedom, felt like the place my father had always spoken of. But then came 1914. World War I erupted, and the world was suddenly on fire. I wasn't French by birth, but France was my home, and I wanted to fight for her. I enlisted in the French Foreign Legion in 1914, joining thousands of foreign volunteers. By 1915, I was a machine gunner in the trenches, fighting at Somme, Artois, and Champagne. The war was brutal. I saw comrades fall around me, their faces barely recognizable under the mud and blood. In March 1916 at Verdun, I was gravely wounded. While recovering, I made a bet that changed my life. Someone said I couldn't become a pilot. Me, a black man. They doubted me, but they didn't know my spirit. I trained at Châteauroux and Avoord, earning my wings in 1917. When I climbed into a cockpit for the first time, I felt like I had left all the prejudice, pain, and struggle on the ground below. I flew over 20 combat missions, sometimes in Nieuport planes, sometimes in Spads. The stork insignia of my squadron, Escadrille and .93, became a symbol of pride. Though some credited me with shooting down 1 or 2 German planes, the French authorities never confirmed my victories. To them, it didn't matter. What mattered was that I fought with courage. When America joined the war, I dreamed of flying for my homeland. But those dreams were crushed when the U.S. Army Air Service rejected me. Only white pilots were accepted. Imagine that. Fighting for freedom only to be told I wasn't good enough because of my skin. After the war, I returned to Paris. The city embraced me, and I found a new rhythm in jazz. I played drums in nightclubs, rubbing shoulders with legends like Louis Armstrong and Josephine Baker. Eventually, I managed and owned clubs, including the famed Le Grand Duc. It wasn't just a business. It was a sanctuary where music drowned out the noise of the world. Ernest Hemingway even based a character on me in The Sun Also Rises, but freedom wasn't free. When World War II loomed, France asked me to spy on German patrons in my nightclub. When the Nazis invaded, I fought in the French resistance. By 1940, I had to flee to America, my pockets empty and my spirit bruised. Back in the United States, I found no welcome. I was just another black man in a segregated nation. I took a job as an elevator operator at the Rockefeller Center, living quietly while my war medals gathered dust in a small apartment. In 1949, I attended a Paul Robeson concert in Peekskill, New York, when a mob attacked concertgoers. They beat me savagely, police among them. Photographs of the attack were published, but no one was ever held accountable. The last years of my life were quiet. In 1959, I was interviewed on the Today Show. For a moment, the world remembered me. The pilot, the soldier, the man who fought for freedom on 2 continents. Letters poured in, and I felt the warmth of recognition, even if it came late. I passed away in 1961, buried with military honors in the French War Veterans section of Flushing Cemetery in New York. The French, always my truest supporters, never forgot me. They awarded me 14 medals, made me a Knight of the Legion of Honor, and called me a true hero of France. Decades later, my homeland finally acknowledged me. In 1994, I was posthumously commissioned as a 2nd lieutenant in the U.S. Air Force. Statues now stand in my honor, and my name is spoken with respect. I was Eugene Bullard, a boxer, a jazzman, a soldier, and a pilot. My life was a testament to what a man can achieve when he refuses to let the world define his worth.